Hey guys, my name's Troy Hoffman. I'm the founder of Simpleris and the founder of Balancegenics and an executive mentor. What we do every week here is we're creating these things called Fireside Chats. We basically transform this entire space into a studio every week. 4, 3. In the house today we've got Walt Tomolina. Today in the studio we have Ty Cannon. He's also one of the top anti-aging doctors in the country and probably even in the world. And what I want you to see is the opportunity to be exposed to all these different entrepreneurs, all these different people that can share their wisdom and insights, because one idea can change your life today.
They want to be part of the outcome, but they don't necessarily want to be part of the process because it's scary. And if they hear you say collision and they're afraid of conflict, I got to go to the restroom. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Yes, they've done that.
I realized there's over 27 different hormones and hormone metabolites that exert a tremendous effect on your body, your mind, your performance, and whether you live or die.
You can actually apply something to that.
Oh, absolutely.
If I know that two executives aren't talking well to each other, or even two lines of business aren't talking well to each other, and I'm listening for that, that's a very different thing than if I've only been on the firm side and not seen those dynamics happen, right? So I'm more in tune to it. And because I've had years of experience being inside of a corporation within an executive hiring team or leading talent acquisition, I can help point people back towards each other and get them talking to each other, which is part of what's important about our process.
One new concept, one new thing you can take back to your workplace, one new thing you can take back to your company, one new thing you can take back to your family to change the way you think and see and change everything about what you're doing and the actions you're going to take. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Fireside Chats. Today we have my new friend, Summer Anderson, who's been on my case for the last couple of weeks and helping me transform as an executive. We met actually doing burpees on the beach at this Navy SEAL training, no lie. We're in black pants and white shirts, and we're rolling around in the sand, running out of the water. We're freezing our butts off all day. And she's actually not only doing burpees for herself, but she's lifting up our buddy Jeff, who's in a wheelchair with he has his legs got crippled because he smashed, I think L1, I think he smashed in his spine and blew out his spine. Has been in a wheelchair for the last few years and just learning to walk.
Yep.
And she's actually helping him get up from the burpees, then she's doing the burpee herself. Then she's helping him back up. And I mean, it was we had this amazing weekend through our mutual friend, Scott Duffy. He's been on this show before. And Scott and I introduced us in this mastermind we're a part of. And you can just see the power of this individual. And yet the restrained power, I would almost say, where someone's got so much intelligence and yet so much power and has done so much in their life. They're also super humble. And yet the effectiveness and the laser lights, the speech that comes out of somebody that's really legit, you'll learn the difference between people that are BSing and people that are extremely legit in what they do. They're just very grounded and very focused, and that's you. I mean, there's this power, there's presence, and Summer's done some amazing things in her life. So after college, and she got involved in some of the top executive search firms in the world. She's worked at some of these places recruiting job positions for CEOs and COOs at the top companies around the world. She's ran recruiting at some of the best companies in the world too, like Booz Allen Hamilton. She's Booz Hamilton Allen. Did I say that right again?
Allen Hamilton.
I had friends that have worked there in the past.
I was on the executive hiring
I was like, you're
team
going to
there.
work for a company that's called Booz? What do you guys drink all day? It was a joke, actually. I didn't know who Booz Hamilton. After I graduated college myself, some people got recruited there.
Yes.
She also ran recruiting for Allergan.
So for the U.S., yes.
Yes, for the U.S. Okay, she's very precise. I think she sounds bigger or more fluffy, not as precise as her languaging. So thank you, Summer, for being a part of this. She's been working on me and helping share feedback from me and my team, analyzing where we're at our leadership team, who's got what skill sets, who should be doing what, when, and where, and where we're at now and how to help us to get us to where we want to go. And to be a really strong growth company, and just hearing her give the feedback, watching her team be very precise in how they attack each problem and say, here's what we've seen in the past. And that's why I'm so glad you're here, because there's such a wealth of knowledge in this head that we need to be able to get it out of you and deliver it to the outside entrepreneurial world and people that are rising up and all these things you've learned. And I asked her today, I was like, what do you want to talk about? She's talking about purpose and finding your purpose and what drives it. And I was like, wow, so if that's what you want to talk about, how is it? Because you literally live this out.
Yeah.
So there's something that drives you, and I'm not even sure what it is, but
Yeah.
so please share away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where to go with you right now. Like, there's so much to talk about.
So
It's crazy.
I think the best place to start is my story.
I'd love to hear it.
So starting out at Heidrick really taught me the ground level understanding of how do we do search well. And I had a great mentor. Tim O'Shea was a fantastic mentor to me. I then went to Booz Allen Hamilton, where I served on the executive hiring team and really helped them to scale up their cyber business on the federal side and later on the commercial side, and then at Allergan. But what that gave me was a view from not only the agency side, as some people might call it, or the firm side, and then the internal side. Two really different sides of the desk, if you will.
Yeah.
And what came out of that was I realized that unless we fully understand the culture inside, we miss a huge piece just listening.
Is there really that much difference in culture
really-
in places?
It's really different.
Really?
It's very, very different. So, for example, if I know that two executives aren't talking well to each other, or even two lines of business aren't talking well to each other, and I'm listening for that, that's a very different thing than if I've only been on the firm side and not seen those dynamics happen, right? So I'm more in tune to it. And because I've had years of experience being inside of a corporation, within an executive hiring team or leading talent acquisition, I can help point people back towards each other and get them talking to each other, which is part of what's important about our process. That's what led us to launching Mirror Partners. What I will say
I didn't even tell that part of the intro. I haven't even gotten to that part. Like, you're like, Troy, you're getting all over the place. Not yet. So I didn't even get a chance to talk about Mirror Partners yet, so keep going.
Yeah, so the reason we launched Mirror Partners was that we knew there had to be really major heart and purpose behind each company that we touch. And that is why on the back end of every hire that we make, every executive that we place, we coach them for at least 90 days. Those 90 days are really important so that we're listening to how are they thinking, how's their mindset? Are they where they need to be? And are they able to integrate into this organization? We're also listening to the leaders in the organization. How is he doing? How are you doing? Right?
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback from you. I got that.
From both of
I'm
you.
feeling this feedback. I'm receiving a lot of feedback and falling over. I'm like, no more feedback. It's okay. I'm embracing it. I'm creating transformation even in my life, even now as we speak with all this feedback.
What I will say is being able to get people to talk to each other is really the key. My story, that's kind of the reason I decided to want to make transformation happen inside of search, because so often it's been transactional. So we're about transformation. My story, or my bio, begins right there in the middle of Allergan, where Valiant was coming after Allergan. It was a daily
acquisition?
As an acquisition.
Got it, okay.
And it was Bill Ackman was leading an activist transaction.
Got it.
And really what had happened was unprecedented. So it was really hard to know, how do we handle this well, right? And as in talent acquisition, there's not a whole lot you can tell your candidates about coming to a place where we're under attack, essentially.
Wow.
And so I had time to think, as you might imagine. What am I going to do? And we also knew that Valiant, what they would do is they would come in and just take out a lot of the folks and put their own in.
And Valiant did this through
lots of companies.
hundreds of, almost like, I almost want to say, like, they just went,
did.
acquired the whole world.
They did.
They acquired the world during this time period,
They did.
That's crazy.
And the good news is that Valiant didn't actually acquire them. They found another white knight that was a much better choice. But in that time, I really had an opportunity to think, what do I really want? What does next look like for me? And so I spent some time with one of my good friends, Wendy Young, who has a beautiful design firm. She builds $30 million homes on the cliffs of Laguna.
Wow.
And penthouses in Manhattan. And
that's amazing.
She never lacks her work.
Yeah.
So I took a walk with her, and she's a neighbor, so we walk regularly. said, Wendy, what are you doing right?
Yeah.
How are you manufacturing this?
Yes.
And she said, well, it has everything to do with intention and how
Yeah.
I'm feeling. And I said, okay, tell me, what do I do? Instruct me, please.
Yeah.
I want to know your secret.
Yeah.
And she walked me through in her office, in this beautiful office of hers, the steps that you take to be able to create your vision.
Wow.
So I had this amazing month almost inside of Allergan where it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. We had some things going on, but it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And I got to be able to write my vision, which started out with
So what is this secret plan? I mean, like, you can't leave us hanging at some point. Whatever point, we're going back to this secret for Wendy Kellogg at some
we
point.
will.
Okay. Okay.
This is going like this.
Okay,
It's a
good,
full
I'm ready.
loop.
Wow.
Part of this was I had to get really clear on what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the impact I wanted to make
Yeah.
in this life.
Yeah.
Because so often, and I talk to guys and gals all the time that are senior executives, have done really wonderful things in their career, and yet they are just sort of plodding along.
Yeah.
And they're making interesting decisions because they have lots of opportunities and options, but they don't know, they don't have a litmus test
Yeah.
for, is that really what I'm up to?
Yeah.
And they haven't taken the time to write it down.
Yeah.
So, having heard Wendy's compelling story, I wrote not only the vision of what I want in bullets, but I put together a list and then later a narrative. And the narrative is, it's how do you see it in the future? How do you experience it? So it's 5 senses.
Yeah.
And it's a narrative that reads like a really good novel.
Yeah.
You can see, hear, taste, smell it. And so at the beginning of every day, I read this.
Really?
Yes. And what it does is it helps me center on my why. And so my girls are in it. We have 3 teenage girls. And one of the things that I had said was, I want to have happy, healthy teenage years where we are bound as a family and we're solid.
Yeah.
I want to have a marriage that's solid.
Yeah.
I want to have my faith be first.
Yeah.
And I want that to live through our lives. I want to be able to have a household that holds Christ up first. That's
Wow.
really important to me and to our family. But I also wanted to make transformation happen in the lives that we got to touch. I didn't want to back down from that. And so once I finished that vision and started reading it every day, I started highlighting what's actually happening,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I'd start highlighting and circling and dating. This happened today.
Yeah.
I met so-and-so today, this happened.
Really?
So you start to
Yeah.
believe and to create a new identity
Yeah.
of who you're becoming.
Oh yeah, we just learned about
We did.
identity. Yes.
We did. It
Yes.
was really resonating.
Yes.
He's fantastic.
Yes.
So being able to make that resonate throughout ourselves
Yeah.
is really important. So when executives come to me and say, I'm stuck,
Yeah.
I have this really amazing resume.
Yeah.
I've run multiple companies, I've had multiple exits, I'm worth more than I ever dreamt I would be. I'm stuck and I don't know what's next. The conversation we have is, it starts with something like, have you written your vision? And when they say, yeah, I kind of have it in my head, and I let them wander for a little, and I say, but have you written it down? They say, no, I haven't. And then I challenge them about whether or not they're super clear on it, because they've just wandered for the first 20 minutes of the conversation about what they want next. And it's clear they don't know. Once they write it down, beautiful things happen. But there's a
Like
process.
How much are you writing down? Like
Yeah.
What,
So
like-
there's a process that we take everyone through who's willing to do this. And it really starts with a template that I'll send to them. And sometimes that's just a test.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do the work?
Yeah.
Are you really? And what that does is it gets the emotional juices flowing. And sometimes I'll say, before you touch the template, I'm going to give you the template so you know where you're going. I want you to go get a spiral bound notebook at Staples for $2. And I want you to carry that thing with you every day, every moment of every day, and write down questions that are coming to you. Who am I becoming? What does that look like? I want you to diagram. I want you to scribble. I want you to,
So who am I becoming?
who am I becoming?
And what else?
Who am I becoming? What does it look like?
Who am I becoming? What does it look like?
That's right.
Who am I becoming? what does it look like?
Yes.
And that is currently what's happening in this moment, or who am I promoting? What does it look like I'm thinking 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road? What are they supposed to write down? Like,
Yes. So I usually give them a 3 to 5 year timeline to be able to think about what am I going to actually be doing in 3 years, in 5 years. If they can wrap their head around that, that really is the meat of what we need to talk about. So first it's getting all that down on paper, first in a notebook and full of just scribbles, and it's just for them. The other thing that I encourage them to use is something, it's auto recognition. Essentially, you're asking yourself, what is the answer to this question? And you sleep on it. And the cool thing is when you wake up, sometimes in the twinkling, you're kind of coming out of the twilight of sleep, and that answer comes to you in a heartbeat.
Got it.
Or it's 2 a.m. I don't know if that's happened to you before. You're grabbing your pen.
So you're asking them to same questions, and then see what shows up at 2 a.m. or first thing waking up. Again, go back to the notebook.
Yes.
Write down, who am I becoming?
Yes.
And what else?
Who am I becoming?
Who am I becoming?
And what am I up to?
And what am I up to?
Yes.
Who am I becoming and what am I up to? Okay.
Yes. And so once they get through those 2 weeks, they've done a lot of marinating and thinking on about that, so that when they get to the template, which is a much more structured way to get to this, they're ready. And I encourage them to go take a Saturday morning, or maybe it's an hour or 2, but block the time, because you need to have an end of it, or otherwise it's tough to really block the time, and it's tough because it'll run over, or you'll go short, or you'll say I can't do it, and it'll get put off and put off.
For this worksheet that you've got
Yes.
specifically
Yeah.
with a bunch of questions
Yes.
that guides this process.
That's right.
Now, is it part of what Wendy Young said? Like, we're going back to this Wendy
This
Young.
is
I'm not going to
exactly
let this die.
what Wendy Young.
Really?
Yes. So she's just said, you need to get really specific. You need to get to this narrative. What I've found between my conversation with Wendy, my experience, and then coaching others through the process, is that if I don't help them see, hear, taste, smell, experience this vision, it's really hard for them to get their hands around it. So often, executives they're drivers. They don't want to stop and wait and feel. They just want to get it done. So this is a really tough shift for a lot of folks. And if I don't take them through a structured process, what happens is it falls down. And I tell them, this is like taking out the trash, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better unless you decide to do it.
Yes.
And it's going to get smellier and stinkier and bigger. Take care of it.
Yeah.
Once they do, it's like they feel cleansed, really. The best part is that you have this litmus test. So if someone's throwing a lot of money at you for some big job, but it doesn't really pass the litmus test of, am I with my kids as much as I want?
Yeah.
Right? It's global travel. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not if you're going to be away from your kids during their most formative years. That's not part of what you set out to do.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Or that's going to require a lot of extra.
Or you might want global travel because you're single.
It could
That sounds
be.
very exciting.
It
and
could
it's like,
be.
yes.
It might be
Let's do some
exactly.
global travel for a while and live in multiple countries.
That's right. And I'm going to
Yes.
learn multiple languages because
Yes.
that's on my bucket list of things I
Yes.
want to do.
You just never know what it is until
That's
you
right.
go through the work.
That's right.
And discover the identity and the beliefs that
That's
we
right.
have and the convictions.
That's right. Exactly right. And once you have that lined up, it's really easy to say no or yes to that big offer
Wow.
because it lines up with what you want. So often I talk to guys who will say, yeah, that one was a mistake.
And this is your camera too, if you ever want to direct to the camera.
Oh,
and that's
thank
our
you.
wide angle right here.
Okay, great.
If you ever want to share anything specifically with the audience, please go for it.
Thank you. So let me do that right now. If you feel like you've had a fantastic career, but you've made a misstep, know that you can step back. You can make a change. This is not your destiny to just take what gets dropped in your lap. You get to choose. And when you choose, you'll feel more powerful than you ever have because you're following your purpose. And when you're purpose-centered, it's almost intoxicating, really. Not many people have it or know how to do that. So don't be afraid. Make the step. and be intentional.
Is there any way we can make a link?
Yeah.
Either sell this or give this away
Yes.
or something.
Yes, we can.
At the end of this show, because I think it'd be wonderful.
Yes.
Like, define your purpose. There's the plans and a purpose for your life, and like helping people access and discover that. And as Robert was saying, we detect.
Yes.
We detect our mission. We detect who we are. These God-given gifts, these God-given skills. Like, for I know the plans I have for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
it's like, oh, there's plans for me, universe or God or whatever, right? And it's like, how do we discover this? How do we like tap into this and be like, okay, what must I do to discover who am I? Where am I going? What is this? What are these skills and giftings I have, and what can I do with my life? And all of us at all levels of our lives are constantly asking this question in some way, shape, or form. And I see this so many, like, no matter how, that's okay, the crazy thing I think is you work with some of the best leaders in the world, like really, and they're still gonna and they've been through all this stuff. They've had more exposure and more training and better education, been at the top of the game on so many areas, and they're still constantly refining and getting clear and getting clear and getting clearer and clearer till they go, oh, this is what I want.
Yeah, that's right.
This is who I am
That's right.
specifically. And don't ever stop going through this process. It's like the onion layers. You're peeling layer
right.
after layer after layer. And we go through this process of discovering who are we? What are we capable of doing? And that's what I love. Like, we're constantly getting hit from different sides, from Robert D. McDonald or even Scott Duffy or now Summer Anderson, sharing with us how do we constantly refine and define our giftings, this beautiful thing of who we are and what our gift we get to send into the world and be a part of this. So keep sharing away. Summer, I love this. This is awesome. So
yeah, and I will say too is that sometimes we have a life event that happens to us that we just don't see coming. That's what makes us slow down and think.
yeah.
I had one executive confide in me not too long ago that he had started binge drinking because of the amount of stress he was under.
Sedation.
He really numbing
Yes,
because
a lot of numbing.
there was a lot of stress going
A lot of top guys,
on.
a lot of top ladies
Yes.
doing some form of sedation, some form of
Yes.
numbing, like drugs,
Yes.
alcohol, porn,
Yes.
something to relieve the pressure, relieve the stress.
Yes.
Or that just keeps showing up when the
That's right.
the environment's so intense.
Yes. Or total disconnection with their kids. That some of these guys feel like they're an ATM. That's how my kids see
100%.
me, right?
Yeah.
They don't, or I wish I could find that amazing person in my life.
Yeah.
And they feel disconnected there because they're married to their work right now.
Yeah.
So when we get really clear on what it is we want, then all the other stuff falls away.
Yeah.
And then our integrity and our congruence with who we're becoming
Yeah.
falls right into line.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
No, that's it. Like that men's group I was a part of.
Yes.
For Wake Up Warrior, that's a main of beyond the marketing, which is specifically toward men that are kind of going through the fire. They're going through burnout. They're going through boredom.
Yes.
They're going through the marriage not working. They're going through the business not working. Like, what are the habits or the actions that you need to take on a daily basis, on a quarterly basis, to get your body in shape, to release the sedation methods where you get real, raw, and relevant, and like you really build these habits of working out and veggie drinks and eating healthy, and then being meditation, clearing the thoughts, clearing the pressure, finding a way to use Byron Katie's work to clear the triggers, the mental triggers, or some process of clearing, crucial conversations as a way of clearing triggers in our life, so we don't have to keep creating these BS stories. And then the balance side, right?
Yeah, that's
then
right.
the balance in that order: body, being, balance. We're writing love notes to our significant others or to our kids to start building that connection, that rapport. What am I grateful for? Why do I love you? Why do I care about you? So you're constantly putting the daily deposits in people's lives over and over and over again. Then you focus on business.
Yes.
And that's what I love,
right.
that you're
That's
going through
right.
this process and taking other people through this process, because there's so many of us suffering
Yeah.
in this realm because of the pressure, because of the stress, because
Right.
of the disconnection, that your time gets sucked in business and you forget about body,
Yes.
being, and balance.
That's
and it
right.
all goes to here always. So
The beautiful thing is that once that executive lands, they've made a plan, they're clear on what it is, they take a new role,
Yeah.
and they're now in this new realm.
yes.
The pressure might be even greater than it was before, But the great news is that we get to come along for the ride and help them build the team.
It's amazing.
Make sure that the leadership is right.
Yes.
We look at not only the subjective, meaning what is everybody saying, we'll look at the data, we'll look at the objective. And what that helps us do is really groove in what is the org chart that's necessary here to be able to launch this person into their next chapter.
I love how you can go from like soul's purpose over
Yes.
here and God, and go right over to objective and goals over here.
We have to.
And you're like, bam,
We have
bam,
to.
all day long,
We
like
have
all
to.
day long. It's
Yes.
it's amazing. I
If-
mean, like the gifting and skill set you have.
Yeah,
like,
if we don't address the soul and the spirit and the heart,
wow.
then ROI isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
And the people you want to follow you won't.
yeah,
Whereas if you have that clear, it'll happen.
wow. Summer, we could go for hours on this, but I feel like we need to do something and create some type of link and share with you guys, like like pull something out of you a little bit more and give something for you guys out there to work on at home for yourselves, because getting access to her is very costly. and it's very rare to even get access to her. She always works with the top people across the world, like the top of the top of the top. I only got lucky enough to stumble upon her and actually be in an environment close enough to where she said, I might spend a little bit of time with you guys. And we're not a small company. We're a small company. We're not the normal companies that she works with that are these giant venture-backed companies or funded SaaS companies or like these really high-end groups of people. And it's so amazing. I mean, just your spirit, your humbleness, and your heart is huge. And yet she's so dynamic of like execution. You heard that. She bounced from soul and spirit to objectives and goals. Soul and spirit to objective and goals. And she's able to bridge this whole gap in between. And that was one of the giftings and talents you've been given, I think. Whatever this is, I don't know what this is,
Thank
but
you.
that's your God-given gift or talent or whatever that is, and it's an
Yes.
amazing thing to see. So folks, thank you for tuning in. Is there anything you'd like to close out with? I feel like, is there anything you'd like to share? One last, like, just go whatever's inside of you want to share with the world, like,
Yeah.
last message. Go for it, please.
Thank you. I think what I would say is, if you feel today like you're not living your best life, and I know that's such a canned thing, if you feel like you might be an imposter, if everybody finds out that I'm not who I say I am, you're not alone. That is something that happens across the board. I don't care who you are. And only the strongest and most courageous will admit it. So
Yes.
if you feel like you're falling short of what that high bar is for you, just know that there's an answer in sight for you. Getting real and admitting it and finding someone who you can talk to is half the deal. Once something is revealed, it can be transformed. Don't be afraid. Go in courage. That's it.
So true. Like, people need to share this. Like, I've seen so many people so broken who won't admit that.
Yes.
Like, so many people, Summer, that like just need someone to open up. And like, when people call, like, they're like calling me at 10, 11 o'clock at night, their wife just kicked them out. I need a place to stay.
Yeah.
I'm going through a divorce right now. Troy, I'm almost done with my life right now.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? My company's out of finances in a week. I get the call at the last minute, like, oh, we'll just throw a freaking Hail Mary and we'll call Troy or something, right? And if more people would just open up in the beginning and be honest, saying, I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough. I don't feel like I'm hitting with the mark I should be hitting in my life. And then the expectations people put on themselves
Yep.
are ridiculous nowadays. Again, the Instagram world, everyone sees everyone's highlights and they don't see the shit, the problems, because people aren't sharing
right.
sharing how crappy leadership is. And there should be a book called Leadership Sucks. And like, it should be a whole book on how crappy and shitty leadership is. There's all these books on how to be a great leader, but no one talks about how crappy and shitty. And if you're leading one person, a family, or an entire organization, leadership just sucks. And pain divided is pain shared. You don't have to carry the load yourself, folks. And reach out to us. That's why we do these shows, so you hear the truth from somebody else and what they're realizing and what they're learning, so it can be imparted and impact your life. So thank you, Summer.
Yeah.
We love you.
Thank you.
For taking time out of your day. You're busy. Your schedule's so busy. I know it. And I like high five. Like, I love you very much.
Thank you.
And folks, thank you for watching the Fireside Chats. Tune in next week and we'll have some more great shows for you. So thank you.